my father-in-law, but also my latest cruise client. You guys just got back from, what was it, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
On the
2 weeks, 15 days.
Viking European cruise that went from Amsterdam all the way down, was it the Danube all?
It went down the Danube, it went down the Rhine.
The Rhine, okay, yep.
And it was on a canal that they call, I believe they called the Main Canal or something to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was their grand cruise, their grand European cruise for 15 days. And it was just unbelievable.
Yeah. And you ended in Budapest.
Budapest.
And what was your favorite, Budapest, yes, which we've learned. What was your favorite thing about Viking?
Oh, the service is just top notch. I mean, we've been on lots of cruises, and of course they've all been ocean cruises with big giant ships and everything. But with the Viking cruise, with only 192 people, the service was fantastic. The people were wonderful. They couldn't have been more helpful. They were there when you needed them. You asked them a question, they would give you an answer, come back with an answer, whatever. And of course, traveling on a river, it's a nice, pleasant cruise.
Yeah.
There's no rough water.
Yeah, that's
there
nice.
were several people on the cruise that had commented on that.
Yeah.
They were nervous, about.
Well, I'm a seasick girl, so
am
I
I.
know you are too. Yeah. So.
And never had an incident of that.
Okay, good.
And the food was wonderful, and no pressure. There was no pressure at all on the ship.
Okay.
You could come and go as you please, and just little things like when it came time to debark.
Yeah.
If you remember what debarking was like on the cruise we went to in the Caribbean.
Oh my gosh, I love a big cruise, but oh my gosh, trying to get 4,000 people off of a ship at one time.
When we debarked from the Viking ship, it took all of 15 minutes,
Yeah,
10 or
crazy.
15 minutes, and everybody was on shore,
Yeah.
meeting up with their tour guides. They had your tour guides where you were in groups, with paddles, and off you'd go.
Well, and speaking of the tours, so you get an included tour
Every day.
every single day,
Every
of the
day.
entire cruise that you can choose, and then you can also add on like more specialty ones at a cost. But
Exactly.
You had an included tour every single day.
Every single day you
Yeah.
had a tour of some sort, most of which would be like a walking tour of that town, and which is what you want anyway. If you've never been there, you want to see what it's like.
How long were those tours?
Oh, they would be sometimes as long as 3 hours,
Okay.
depending, because sometimes where the ship docked wasn't really where you were going. You had a little ways to go,
Yep.
maybe a bus ride of a half
yeah.
hour to get to where the tour
The
was.
town or
Yeah,
Okay.
and then half an hour back.
Okay.
But they couldn't have handled that better either. I mean, they were just great. Nobody got left behind.
Well, that's good.
Uh,
Well, and I know that Viking is really known for their service, like you were saying, and I think it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So it's either 2 guests to 1 staff or 2 staff to 1 guest, but either way,
Either way.
that is like night and day difference from the big cruise ships,
Right,
where
right.
it's a big difference. So, what was the average age, would you say, of
Oh,
people on the Viking,
I would
or the range?
I would say the average. There was a lot of retired people.
Okay.
But of course now, not everybody waits to be in their 60s
Yeah.
before they retire necessarily, So I would say the average age was 60 plus, probably.
Okay.
Very few young people. There was a couple of young couples, but these are active people at that age.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they're getting
okay.
out and walking,
Yeah.
and they're getting out and doing the things. And most of them, like us, had had some extensive travel background.
Yeah,
This
okay.
wasn't their first rodeo,
Yeah.
and I'd say that's probably pretty much the average age. Retire 65-ish or so.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. No kids.
No kids,
No kids.
no
Okay.
casino.
No casino, yes.
Yeah.
So it is smaller on the amenities as far as the boat goes, because it really is geared to 150 to 200 people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But that made it nice,
Right.
to be honest with you. That made it nice.
Yeah. No chaos.
No chaos.
Yeah.
No chaos.
I love it. And what were some of your favorite stops on this? Because
Oh.
you did Amsterdam all the way to Budapest, which are obviously 2 highlight cities, 2 of our favorite cities.
Yeah.
But what were some of your favorites?
Well, Vienna. We had never been to Vienna, and we thought Vienna was just wonderful. And of course, Budapest.
Yeah.
Once we got to Budapest, we were like, oh, I wish it would have extended another couple of
Even
days
more,
here because it was what a fascinating city. There just seems to be so much life and so much going on, and the lights at night, they light up all these buildings, and it's breathtaking.
Yeah,
It's just,
it is.
It really is.
I agree. I love it. Well,
But even the little villages throughout Germany,
Yeah.
Austria, great. They were really great.
And
And the guides are all local people who live in those
oh, from
villages.
each city.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that
you
helps.
every time where you went, you picked up a guide there.
Yeah, so it's
And,
not like a one hired guide that
No.
tries to attempt to tell you the history of the city. They're actually
Right,
locals. Okay,
right.
I like that. And I think you were mentioning, because I know you said you had goulash when you were in Hungary,
Mm-hmm.
but you kind of had food on the boat that was featured to the area, would you say? Specialized for the area somewhat?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
standard options
they
as well.
had a German night with German food, you know,
Okay.
where we had bratwurst and the red cabbage and the
Yes, my
sauerkraut
favorite.
and things like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
your favorite. And they tried to tailor it that way.
Okay.
They had some items that were on the standard menu that you could always get, you
Yeah.
know.
And wine and beer included for those meals, right?
Wine and beer were included free during the meals.
During meals,
If
yeah.
you went down for a cocktail or wine beforehand, it was
That's
a
a
charge,
cost, yeah.
you know.
Okay.
But during the meals, they were free. Oh, and by the way, every night the cruise director would give a talk about what the port was. We called it the port talk.
Yeah.
So you knew what the tours were going to be the next day off of the ship and whatnot.
Okay.
And he ended it every time by bringing out the chef, and the chef would give you his recommendations for that night's dinner.
Oh, I love it.
And it's funny that we pretty much picked his, even without him telling us,
Yeah,
we
right.
says, well, that's what I was
That
going to
sounds
order
good.
anyway. You know,
Yeah.
because they were specialties, like you were saying, that were geared for the area.
Yeah.
And I figured, well, you know, I can try chocolate
Yeah.
mousse at home.
Yeah,
you know, I can
right.
get that at home.
Right.
But I can't get a poached pear with this kind of,
Ooh,
that kind
yeah.
of, and things like that.
Yeah.
So we going with his recommendation, it was great.
Okay, awesome. I didn't know they did that. That's
Yeah.
cool. And
Yeah.
then Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi's free
Okay.
for 2 devices per room,
Yeah, that's nice.
and you pick a PIN number, and then you can change those devices, but only 2 of them
yeah,
can be
good
active
work.
at a time.
Okay.
You know, and it worked pretty well. There
Okay.
were a few spots, particularly when you're at the bottom of a lock.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
where they didn't work. The signal
Yeah.
didn't get down to there, but
Because
that's
you're
all-
like stuck in a tunnel. Of
yeah.
like,
But that's only for
walls.
5 minutes,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah, Wi-Fi was free. That was very nice.
So you've got a river cruise that's small. You've got stops that most big cruise ships aren't going to be able to stop at. You've got included Wi-Fi, included drinks for most of it, included tours. And then I know we added on at a pretty reasonable price your flights as well. So that was...
Yes. In fact, if you want, you can make the whole thing turnkey and just turn it over
True.
to Viking. You know, they'll book
Yeah.
your flights and everything. You know, and they make sure you get to your hotel. They make sure you're picked up. I mean, they came and picked up one lady
Yeah.
at the Amsterdam airport where we were, and took her out to the cruise ship.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's
They're
what they do.
Well, they're an incredible company. They're
They're
a white
very-
glove service brand
Definitely.
that is
Definitely.
top notch in luxury and still relatively affordable for what you get. There's obviously
Exactly.
options. They have ocean cruises, river cruises, but they started out as a river cruise company, so they've kind of nailed the excellence level from what I can tell on that.
We had heard that people in the company would say to the owner, you know, he'd come up with a new idea, something he wanted. They says, we're not sure that's going to work. He says, it'll work. It'll work. And everything they've done has been so successful.
Right.
I mean, just the fleet of boats that they have and rolling stock, buses and stuff. And they are just right there, right on it.
So I think the final question is, would you book another Viking
Oh,
cruise?
definitely. Can't wait to do it.
Okay.
Can't wait to do it.
I love it. Well, thank you. Hopefully
you.
you've enjoyed and learned about the amazingness of the Viking cruise world, because they're insane and they're awesome. So if you want to book a cruise with them or with anyone, let me know. I would love to help. Thank you, Eldon.
You're welcome, Shannon.